Hello, I'm LuNEJuNE. In today's video, I will be summarizing and giving my personal thoughts on update 8.4.3. This is something that I do every once in a while when an update drops for random dice, so if you've enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like and a sub. That would be highly appreciated. Let's dive right into this update. Gravity Dice is receiving a trait in this update after getting neglected from their parents, the Random Dice dev team, for a year. Anyway, this dice's trait is called Anti-Gravity, and the description states as follows. Casting speed decreased by a factor of 5. Splits the target dice into 2 random dice, each with 1 dot less. Upon splitting, a new dice is placed in a random spot. If no spots are empty, a random dice on the field will be separated. Sadly, I cannot show you my own clips as I don't have gravity dice at class 10. But I will try to get someone who has gravity dice at class 10 to make a separate video on it. Let me know in the comments down below if you have gravity dice at class 10 and can use the trait. Anyway, this trait is pretty simple. It is basically assassin and royal dice combined. It takes a random dice from the opponent's board and it basically makes 2 separate dice with 1 pip less. So from this clip from the official Random Dice YouTube channel where they showcased the preview of their current update, they tested on a 7 pip growth which turned into a 6 pip growth and a 6 pip wind. Another example would be a 5 pip typhoon splitting into a 4 pip assassin and 4 pip joker. It's basically just sending an assassin and using a royal dice packaged nicely together in 1 dice. I think the trait will make gravity dice much more useful in PvP as well. It's 2 offensive dice combined. As for co-op, please don't troll, guys. Only I can troll. With the release of a new trait for gravity dice, we are also getting an old school skin for it. Once again, I don't think the dice was there before the UI changes, but it's whatever at this point. 111%, just give us more content and we'll be thankful. It's the same quest with all the other old school skin events where you have to forcibly play PvP. There's a limited time enhanced diamond chest for gravity dice, specifically where you can get 20% chance of obtaining the dice for yourself. The cost is 750 gems, and each consecutive time you open it will lower it down to 675. It will be available for a week from now, so get it if you want. I think this is what all of you expected and wanted to hear. Devil Sword, a dice notorious for being stupidly broken in the game, is now being nerfed. First of all, its skill duration, or more commonly known as the cooldown time or the activation time, is drastically decreased from 25 seconds all the way down to 10 seconds. That is a 60% time nerf that is probably going to impact a lot for this dice. Also, the AoE damage per dot count used to be 80, but now it has once again severely decreased to 10. Also, the class up damage increase used to be 10 AoE damage per class, but they also nerfed that down to 2. They even touched its pip count. It used to be rounded up to give the players the benefit, however it now rounds down. An example would be a 5 pip lowering it down to a 2 pip instead of a 3 pip. So a 60% nerf from the activation timer, 87.5% decrease from the damage increase perspective, and lastly 80% fall from the original class up damage. This thing just got destroyed with nerfs. However, there is a catch. According to JH716718, class 7 Devil Sword dice will get a 21 to 22% damage decrease overall. Class 8 Devil Sword will get a 6 to 7% damage decrease, and Class 9 will actually get a 9% increase in damage. This is because of the activation timer, quote unquote nerf. Devil Sword's damage mostly comes from its level. To increase this level, you must constantly apply Devil Sword's ability to a dice. Each time a master is selected, a level will increase. This means since the activation timer is lowered, you can theoretically increase the level faster. 60% faster to be exact. If you can constantly activate Devil Sword, Class 9 Devil Sword will actually deal more damage overall because of the level difference from the pre-nerf state of the dice. However, again, this also means you will suffer greatly from pip loss, which makes it less viable at the same time. So it really is a nerf from the viability perspective, but actually a buff to Class 9 Devil Sword's damage output. I hope that clears things up a little bit. To give my input into this nerf, I think it's a well-deserved nerf. The problem with the dice wasn't actually the damage. The problem was the fact that you could deal that much damage with literally 1 pips on the board. Now that they made it so that you lose more overall pips, I think the solution is solved for the most part. I still think my proposal to the nerf is better, as I stated that they should just remove 3 pips from the master dice raw instead of slicing it down to half of the pips. This will make so that 1s and 2 pips aren't reliable for the master dice. Let me know what you think of this nerf down in the comments below. I am definitely going to want to hear what you guys think of this update. Satellite Strike was given a buff this time around, and it's a significant change. The damage for max HP percentage was buffed from 11% to 12%. This might not seem much, but it made it so that Class 7 Satellite Strike dice is now Class 8, and Class 8 Satellite Strike dice is now Class 9. As each class up you do, you will get 1% of this damage. So the classes are now shifted up 1. This means the old Class 7 Satellite Strike dice no longer exists. Thank you JH once again. Also, the basic damage that Satellite Strike did also increased. I honestly have no idea how much, as it was never stated anywhere, and the impact area of the dice itself has increased so that you can hit more targets easily. I made a video a couple of weeks ago where I showcased how to properly and easily use Satellite Strike dice with the new buffed Blizzard dice. I highly recommend watching that video, as I explain a lot of information that people don't really seem to understand. Go check it out after this video. Anyway, in that video I have mentioned that in order to use Satellite Strike dice efficiently, you need 5 Satellite Strike dice and 3 pip blizzards. However, this was not the case for Class 8 because math did math. Class 8 basically removed the previous problems that Class 7 Satellite Strike dice had. So with this new buff, where the old Class 7 Satellite Strike is now the new Class 8, there is a lot more leeway in terms of damage when using with Blizzard. I think this is a really good buff for Satellite Strike, but not a major change, as everything would have been okay as long as you had Class 8 Satellite Strike. Guardian dice is getting a huge buff. Well, not huge in the grand scheme of things, but huge for this DPS dice. Guardian used to have its max stack by ×2 of the pip count. This means a 5 pips max stack is 10, and a 6 pip is 12, and so on. However, to make it more easily accessible, they changed this to ×1 and increased the damage by well over 75% per stack. If they made it so that it is increased by 100%, we wouldn't be getting a buff, but more of a visual change at that point. However, because they made it so that we get an additional 25% damage increase, as we get 125 per stack now, we can safely say we got an extra stack for our final pip. We got an approximate 50% increase in damage, which is huge and basically acts like we have 16 stacks and not 14. Also, if you want the exact numbers, at Class 10 Guardian with trait, it does 43.644593097601674671812223632547% more damage. Thank you JH once again. I think this will help greatly for Guardian users if there are any remaining, and it will be a more reliable solo carry DPS in the future. Nice! Probably the least expected nerf out of all the changes. I probably would have thought Lock Dice would get a nerf out of nowhere than Sacrifice, but it is what it is. The amount of damage increase per class up is now 5 instead of the old 10. This means the damage is kinda sliced in half. Here's what I mean. The basic damage of the dice is like 30 or something at the lowest class possible. And now my sacrifice, which is at class 15, is dealing 70 damage. I used to do like 120 damage or something with this, but now it will only deal 70. I thought this wasn't a huge change at first, since they weren't slicing the overall damage by half, but they kinda did. After looking at some of the other comments and data, this is a huge nerf for Hypersyn users. I know most of you guys are typing L Hypersyn in the comments. I do agree. But I think this might be a little too game changing for lower class as well. I don't know what I think about this change, to be honest. I think it's kinda funny how Hypersyn users are coping to this situation right now. They finally did it. After 4 years of agony and trying to spam emotes to communicate with a low class newbie support, we can now finally use pings in the game. I love this change, and I think this is what everyone wanted to see all this time. They also improved the current chat-based matchmaking system where you can swap out decks now. Pretty cool and all, but once again, I highly recommend getting someone to play either in a Discord server or someplace else other than the in-game servers. It's just a lot reliable. That is pretty much it for this video. I don't have much time on my hands at the moment, so I didn't go over the events that were upcoming. Sorry for the small inconvenience, and I will see you all next time. Hope you enjoyed.